go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Wayne, if you want to start the YouTube stream, that would be fine. Thank you. And welcome to everyone. Just as a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed to YouTube for the general public. All audio and video is being captured and recorded. And in order to participate in the meeting, your video must be turned on. When you are not the active speaker, please ensure your microphone is muted so there isn't any background noise. If you do need to speak, please raise your hand, use the hand gesture on the machine so I can call on you before you unmute. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, with that, let's get started. Don, if you'll call the roll.
Whitney Allen.
Present.
Deborah Aparicio. Colby Burks. David Carpenter.
You have to unmute, David.
Present.
Robert Croft. Alfonso de Torres Nunez.
Yep.
Kim Hallbauer. Ling Yu Patty.
Yeah.
Sean Reynolds. Letitia Robertson.
Present.
Robert Statt.
Present.
We have a quorum present.
We do have a quorum?
We have a quorum present, yes.
Okay, very good. Actually, I didn't hear Colby, but we have a new member, a new student member, Colby Burks. He is currently a law student here at the University of Louisville, but he was the student body president at Morehead State, and also worked with the CPE when he chaired the board of student body presidents. He's joining us as the student member, but I didn't hear him respond, and he hasn't joined in yet.
He has not.
Okay, well, Colby has been in other meetings with us and is a very good member of the council. Okay, let me look at my agenda here. And actually here, Travis, do you have some updates for us?
Yeah, sure. Well, listen, just want to welcome everybody from behalf of Dr. Thompson and CP. We actually decided to give him the week off this week. So, which really just means he's probably just working a normal schedule right now. But anyway, trying to cut him some slack. And if you've been, watching his social media page and some of the news clips and around, I mean, he is out everywhere. Talking about a variety of different things related to higher education in the state, whether that be racial equity, COVID response. He is a state and a national voice on these matters. And so that's keeping him very, very busy. But as you can imagine, I'm just going to give you a quick sort of CPE update. And Dr. Statt, please jump in here. Do you have anything from your perspective from things you've learned at our board meetings? But we are very, very busy, as you might guess, during these crazy times that we live in. A lot obviously has to do with COVID response. Early on, we were tasked with looking through the reopening plans of the institutions. We did this not only for our public institutions but also for our private institutions, and gave them feedback on their reopening plans. Some of our private colleges, smaller private colleges, particularly those that have remote not their main campuses in here in Kentucky, are at least in a hybrid form back in school. Most all of our institutions gave, if not all, gave the professors the opportunity to decide whether they wanted to teach in class or go on teach online. And students really also got that choice. A lot of our students are on campus, but they're taking courses online. And so, you know, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays itself out moving on into the future, even past the pandemic. And you know, this is just me talking, but I suspect this hybrid model of students taking courses online but being also engaged in different ways in person, maybe more so than just maybe sitting in a classroom and getting their materials delivered to them, I think is going to be the future of higher education. So, because I think, you know, despite all the online capabilities, students do want that on-campus experience. So many, particularly our traditional students, are interested in that on-campus experience and all the social interactions that go with that, but also all the learning that goes on with that too. Participation in extracurricular activities, making friends, all the things a lot of us did when we were in school, and they are still going to want that moving forward. And so, speaking of students and back in school, we were pleased to see that enrollments were pretty good and even up in many instances. Community colleges were a little bit down. But some of the predictions across the board, reductions in students not attending have been unfounded, fortunately, and a lot of our enrollments are looking pretty good this semester. And again, I think a lot of it was just COVID fatigue. When we think about that now, as we sit here in October, but even in August, having been home since March, students are ready to get back. Ready to get back to their friends, ready to get back to school. And so we actually had a pretty good, our numbers were pretty good. So we were glad to see that. But along with that, CPE was, we approved our lowest tuition increase in many, many, many years. And we're able to keep tuition down, which we're very proud of. Institutions understood this. There wasn't much cajoling on our part, to be honest. Our institutions understood the challenges of the students coming back, understood the new dynamic that they'd be under this semester, and for the most part held tuition flat or only had a slight increase. So that was good. We'll see what the long-term impacts will be of that, but at least we know our campuses, and we're looking out for their students and their finances.
Travis, let me just give let me give a number on that, because many
Okay.
of the schools had zero increase on tuition, and the maximum increase for any school was 2%.
Yeah, that was at our community colleges. I think UK had 1%. So yeah, we were committed as a council, as a state, to keeping tuition down, and that's something I think, again, we're very proud of. Since the pandemic began, college students received over $75 million in federal emergency funds. We also administered $13 million of governor's discretionary funds with the higher education for COVID response. And we distributed those funds not only to our public institutions, but to many of our private institutions as well, to help give them some relief. Private institutions also got to participate in some of the PPP loans as well, which really helped them out. That the public institutions didn't get the opportunity to take advantage of, but our private institutions did. So there was some federal support for our institutions, and hopefully with that, combined with the lower tuition increases, did help our students return in the way that they did, which was very positive. I know you all are in tune with what's going on with this group, and with Dawn and Devin and Jessica and our DEI unit. We are all the time out there with our webinars, printed materials going out, Q&As, op-ed type things from Dr. Thompson. We have been very, very busy during this time. We've provided resources to our campuses on COVID response and managing that with our underrepresented students and our low-income students, and ways to better engage them. I can't commend Dawn and Devin and Jessica enough on the work that they've done during this time. I'm very proud of our agency as a whole, particularly this group, have really raised our level of productivity and pivoted in many of the things that we were planning on doing before. We were in the middle of facilitating two different groups, our ALDI group, our minority faculty development group that met, and our cultural competency work group as well. We're all planning a meet in person. We got some private grant funds for those programs. And those were all predicated on in-person meetings. That was a lot of the value that the participants got as part of that program. Of course, we couldn't do that in the middle of the program. We had to pivot, but we did that, and those programs were completed at a very high level. So anyway, I'm just proud of our folks, and they've done a really excellent job. Anyway, lots of good work here to do at CPE. Appreciate your all support in this group. And there's a lot more to come. And I think it'll be very important for this group to really hone in on the groups of students that we look at, our groups of diverse students, our low income and our underrepresented minority students, as we move forward in this, to really see what the impact of COVID will be. We had our Gear Up Kentucky program. We have a series of lunch and learn chats from different groups, and the last one that we had was from Gear Up, and we just wanted to get a sense of what they were doing. Their early intervention system, they're implemented in middle schools and high schools all throughout the state, in certain select areas throughout the state, to engage students and try to create a college-going culture. And so we wanted to see how they were interacting with their students and in this virtual environment. And of course, some of our public high schools or middle schools are not even in person yet. And it's very tough. And we're finding that I'm afraid that the gaps are going to be increased. They're just not receiving, in many instances, just not able to engage the students as much as they would like. And I think our teachers and certainly our Gear Up staff are working really hard to engage those students, but it's tough. It was hard enough to begin with, and it's been even tougher during the pandemic. And so, but we still want those students to persist on to college. It's just that they may even be more unprepared than they were before when they transition. So we need to think of this group, and I challenge you all and our campus folks that are listening to this to really think about ways to better engage these students as they transition into post-secondary, having gone through, what will probably be 3 or 4 semesters under some form of either virtual or hybrid learning in high school. So anyway, lots of good work to do, but I think we're ready for the challenge.
Thank you, Travis. Any questions or comments for Travis at this time? Speaking though of remote learning and that sort of thing, I'm at the dental school, and it's a little hard to teach drill and fill from remotely. So anyway, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. The meeting was on June 22nd. The materials are on your system. Any corrections or comments to the minutes? There are no objections to the minutes. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I so move.
Second. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, David. And all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed to the minutes? Thank you. Consider them approved. Moving on to action items, we've got a new statement on the Eastern Kentucky EKU's improvement plan. Basically, as I read it, they've condensed quite a bit of the material, and they have 3 areas for improvement: university-wide engagement, organizational support and resources, and outcomes tracking and reporting. And I think part of their reason for failure on this last go-around, though, was quite a bit of turnover in the administration, and people lost track of data and things like this. It wasn't well coordinated because too many new people in too many new positions. But they have presented their materials, and any thoughts on this, comments?
I thought it was pretty well thought of and very well structured. So I'm very pleased to read the report.
It looked good. And then further down in the individual areas, they combine many of their strategies, which as a person who reads these and scores them, I greatly appreciate.
I agree.
Okay, and anything else? Okay, then I need, as I understand it, I need a motion to approve their new improvement plan.
I so moved.
Okay,
Second.
and Love, you seconded?
Yes,
Very
sir.
good. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor of approving EKU's improvement plan, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Any oppositions, please say so. The motion is approved. Now we'll move on to institutional strategy revisions. And Don, do you want us to take them individually, or can we do it as a group?
Let's go ahead and do them individually since there may be a question or some discussion about one of them.
That's fine. We'll do, and I think let me get my machine going here. Apologize. The first one will be Ashland Community College. And basically what they want to do is eliminate some of the Spanish, in their Spanish view book. I understand there wasn't much call for it, and they wanted to remove that strategy, as well as another program that they're asking to remove from the strategy, the teacher training, which doesn't occur every year. Each new hire gets the teacher training, but the old teachers have already had it, so they're removing that as a strategy, since it's would be a very few people involved. Any thoughts on the Ashland eliminating those strategies?
Robert or Don, have they provided rationale as to why they want to eliminate the reference to the Spanish thing?
Okay,
I have to pull up the
Don, go ahead.
document. Rationale should be part of the template.
Okay.
And I would have to pull that up. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Devin Muff, who is the project lead on this, to speak to that while I pull that up.
Yes, they did provide a justification. I can read the justification if that makes it easier for you all.
Would it be okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So it says ACTC will continue to make these options available, but the utilization is minimal. That is so minimal that tracking data is completely irrelevant. Thus, we are asking to remove the strategy, although we will still provide accommodations as needed. In the last 3 years, we have had no one take us up on this offer of orientation in Spanish.
So here's my thought about this. I know for a fact that Spanish programs and the Spanish community is pretty prominent in Eastern Kentucky, in the Ashland area. Now, not as prominent like in Lexington or Louisville, but there's a big group of people over there. So from what I read and from what I have heard, the fact that they haven't taken us up on the offer is just simply that that doesn't necessarily mean that, in my mind, that doesn't necessarily mean that nobody actually reach out to them. Rather, I would like to ask the follow-up question of, what have you done to reach out to them? Because in my mind also, I'm thinking, if they eliminate that, I am very worried that a big chunk of people are going to be taken away off their hands an opportunity to participate with this school. And it's just kind of like throwing rocks on their own roof. I mean, so I don't understand
Alfonso,
why.
they're not eliminating the Spanish totally from the curriculum. What the strategy was to produce an online orientation view book in Spanish for students who would prefer that, and they have had no request for the view book.
I know.
And as I recall, this is going back many months on my memory bank on this one, and read too many of them, but they tried to orient with what they thought was the Spanish oriented church to promote this, and that turned out to not be a Spanish oriented church at all. And so some of these outreaches they have been trying, but the outreach has not been successful.
Oh, okay.
Let me start a video here. Sorry. Let me just say here, in reading I think they're, and Dawn or Devin, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it appears that they're going to continue to offer it. It's just they don't want to make it as part of one of their strategies right now, because when they're reporting on it, it doesn't show a lot because nobody's using it. But I think from what I've read, it's still going to be available. Is that your understanding, Devin?
From reading this, that's my understanding of it. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's more just on the reporting side. There's just not a lot of story to tell there because not many folks are using it, and the data tracking is small. I mean, as we know, there are tons of strategies that the institutions are implementing, and not all of them are captured in their plans. But I think they're still going to do it. They're just not going to make it one of their reporting strategies because there's just not a lot to talk about. That's my understanding.
As long as they track it, I mean, as long as they continue offering, I'm okay with that. It's just simply that the way that it read, I mean, I don't know. As I said before, I have worked with many Portland teachers and many Hispanic communities in the Ashland area, and I know that there is a community over there. So that's why the question of, well, let me ask this institution, what have they done actually to reach out to them? Because the fact that you can be not successful, that doesn't mean that this not is still there. I mean, it's still there. It's just simply that you have to adjust. So,
Alfonso, in the justification for removing it, let me restate it what Devin had said. ACTC will continue to make these options available. So continue to make the options available, but their utilization is so minimal that tracking data is completely irrelevant. In other words, they get zeros for performance on scoring because nobody uses it or has used it. So they're taking it away. Rather than making it a negative in their report, they're going to continue it, but not have it as part of their report.
Okay, now makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts or questions on the Ashland proposal?
No.
All in favor of approving it, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to the Big Sandy proposal. They are combining strategies instead of saying one for Black African Americans, one for Latinos, that sort of thing. They're putting all their strategies under the rubric of or into underrepresented minorities. So it's a URM. They're combining their strategies into a URM, so it's not broken out into individual groups. And it's basically trying to develop leadership between African Americans, Hispanic, Latino students, and into a single strategy of developing leaders among URMs. Thoughts or questions?
Yeah, this is Robert. I think from my perspective, I'm fine with that as long as people understand that there are differences in reaching out to both of those groups and that are unique to them. And I think that as long as that is recognized and however they conduct these programs and this outreach, then I don't have a problem with necessarily combining them in the way that they've done it.
It's my understanding they're still going to, they had four separate strategies addressing the different groups of students. I understand that the strategy is combined into URMs, but the individuals will still be recognized, although it's going to make it simpler on the reporting categories.
This is David. I think this is the region that I came from, and actually when it was Lexington Prestonsburg Community College, I went for 2 years. And we're familiar with the area, and even it being 2020 today, I think part of it, and I don't know if they've stated this or not, but just the minority population in Eastern Kentucky's area is so low still. It's not a large, diverse group of people. So I can see how they can justify, instead of having them on separate levels, of putting them together, one kind of like one people group, but still work with them in their individual diversity, but would be effective as a group versus having 4 different individual target groups, if that makes any sense. So I can see how why they're doing that, if that's part of their justification.
This is Alfonso. So is there a way perhaps that, I mean, like, I'm okay with what Robert has said, and I agree. However, my worry is that by condensing everything in one big strategy, there may be a risk of losing those details. So is there a way that we could add to that strategy that they have proposed, something that would allow our committee to see those the specificity of the strategies that they are going to implement in regard to that? Because as I said, as Robert said, I mean, it's different when you reach out to the 2 different groups. So
Understanding, I think it's just the reporting that they're needing to put together. Their strategy and their programs and their outreach will continue to each of their groups, or how many groups they have. But as in reporting it together, or reporting it, they're wanting, if I'm not mistaken, Don, they're just wanting to show the report to simplify it. Am I reading that right?
So in their reporting, they would be responsible for talking about how they implemented this with fidelity. And in the fidelity portion, they would talk about how they implemented the strategy for their African American student population. They would talk about how they implemented it with their Hispanic and Latino population. And then that would be scored accordingly. So they would add those details. So the strategy is just what they plan to do in their overarching targeted goal, but the specifics would come in the reporting. And then in the reporting, that's where the scoring would and the questions would be asked at that time. And they also talk about when they analyze it for effectiveness and if it was effective. So if this is their proposed strategy and they want to combine it, they'll talk about whether or not it was effective when they start to answer those questions. And then they could also say that here are the next steps and lessons learned that combining the strategies either worked well or didn't work well in their reporting. But the specifics get to be answered when they answer those 3 questions in the reporting.
I think the richness you'll get is in the reporting. I think that a lot of it's just not wanting to outline these separately. They'll be able to tell the story and sort of tease out some of the nuances in their responses, but they can talk about that all at once rather than, each separate instance on reporting on each strategy. But we can certainly, and I know they're listening, and Natalie Gibson, who coordinates this for KCTCS, I know is listening, and she can certainly take that note back to the group and for their future reporting to make sure and, highlight some of the differences in what's going on.
And the other aspect, though, if I'm reading this correctly, is that they will have other strategies, but this one is specific for developing leadership among African American and Hispanic students, and developing leaders in this group of minority individuals. It's for leadership. It's not necessarily establishing ESL courses or that sort of thing. It's for a leadership program for underrepresented minorities. Okay. So the next issue is a vote on this, on the Big Sandy, accepting their combined strategies. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposition, opposed, please say nay. Thank you, that one passes. The next on the list is the EKU program. And basically what they have done is combine many of their strategies into a single strategy. And instead of, they're going to do STEM age prospective student days targeting African-American, Black students, create EK. All that has been combined into expand outreach efforts for prospective URM and low-income students. And their reason for doing it is to combine multiple strategies into one strategy to highlight a campus-wide effort to increase diversity of the student body. Any thoughts? Not hearing anything. I'll ask for approval of the EKU proposal. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Somerset Community College. It wasn't that there's not a big issue here. I've got to scroll down, but anyway, they removed one that we kind of got a chuckle out of when we reviewed it to begin with, and that is that they removed the strategy for gender neutral bathrooms. And then they've also removed the Campus Diversity and Advisory Board, in that the board has been developed, remains active, and assists with identifying and recruiting new students. But the board will continue to operate, but since it's been set up, this no longer needs to serve as an objective. Their objective was to set up the board, and now the board is up, running, and functioning. And so they want to remove that as a strategy of developing the board. Any thoughts? Okay, all in favor of approving the Somerset proposal, please say aye.
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 And the last one on the list is a very difficult one. The West Kentucky Community and Technical Colleges have submitted their report and say no changes. So obviously with no changes, do we have any comment? All in favor of approving their no changes, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Well, we're doing well on time, and one thing I want to propose is, and it's the last two frames on your report. I have gone through 2 sessions of scoring and that sort of thing, and I haven't been able to follow the score sheets particularly well. And also there was often very little space to write things. So I just put together what to me is rather intuitive scoring sheet. You start out with, if you're looking at it, name the college or university. I put Exceptional University as the name of the school. Category. The first one is opportunity. And we go with the strategies there. Strategy 1, it's written out. The school, and my thinking is that we would have a template of this, and the schools for strategy 1 would type in whatever their, or process in whatever their first strategy was. Then the next part is we read it and we do fidelity, then effectiveness and lessons learned. That's the order that they would present it in. And I have a little space for notes. You can put your score at the bottom, 0, 1, or 2 on each of those. Strategy 2, university, Exceptional University puts in their second strategy, going through the same thing, fidelity, effectiveness, lessons learned, with some space for notes. And once we finish the opportunity, the next category that we see is success. So strategy 4, 5, whatever it is. For instance, I put down new director of recruitment for URM. The fidelity, effectiveness, lessons learned with notes. So that's the format that I kind of, to me, seems intuitive, and I can follow it and score the different proposals when they come in. I not necessarily approving it today, but if you would like, say go ahead and do it, or if you want to make some suggestions and alterations, that's fine. I'm just putting this out here as something that I could work with fairly easily, and asking for feedback, comments, and that sort of thing. Anybody?
Yeah, Bob.
Yes, Nico.
I really like your format. It just makes it a lot easier for a reviewer to see what it is, and to really, as you said, to put notes and put score. And those are the 2 most important things that the reviewer had to put down. Based on my experience of evaluating these strategies, I feel very confused as I went through each institution, and I got frustrated during the scoring.
Me too.
Yeah, and so I really like this. And even though I will not be on the committee after today, but I would really hope that you all look at this and really review this and make it better, because I really like the idea of simplifying the evaluation process, because the evaluation process is so laborious, and it's really would do the evaluators a favor by simplifying the format. So I'm all for it.
So this is your last meeting?
Yeah, this is the end of my term, and so I'm hoping that some other new voice could join in and help push this around. I really appreciate all the work that everybody has done. on this
Well, we
committee.
appreciate what you do, and you show up all the time with good thoughts and good ideas. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Sure.
And Travis, can we get a reappointment?
Yeah, we can talk. I mean, we're happy to talk about this.
I don't know if Miko wants a reappointment or not.
Interested, I mean,
No, I think you need a new voice.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But thank you for all your efforts.
Sure, thanks. And can I say something else? I mean, this is not in the agenda, but as a departing member of the committee, can I say something else?
of course.
Okay, I feel very, very strongly about how each institution had to start from scratch in doing the strategic planning in DEI. I wonder whether we should think about having a resource sharing site, a common site that they could, we could put the best practices there. Not everybody had to go through step 1 through 100. So I think if we have a good model for some of this, I think it'd be great to house it there for people to look at. They could adapt it, and so that we could enhance it together, rather than having all these institutions working on the same goals and almost same strategies, same approaches sometimes, and not being able to share what they have found out and what the data behind what they have found out.
Miko, you're absolutely correct. But back in February or March, I talked with Aaron about this, possibly with Don and Travis also on this, doing it. And Aaron said, that's exactly what we need, what you've talked about. But I think the effort and my suggestion was to get the different diversity administrators from the colleges together and see what the commonality and that sort of thing. But I think the COVID derailed that idea or that effort for the time being, but you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would be
and-
just like the same concept behind Kentucky Virtual Library, because everything is out there for everybody to share. And it's just so much better for the common good. It just makes it more efficient.
Well,
So we actually have been working on that based off of the suggestions of the last CEO meeting. We looked since the diversity reports have come in. We've been looking at best practices from each institution, and then we've also looked at national best practices, and then we looked at what are some of the best practices that we're doing in the state that are also national best practices.
Right.
How other institutions are implementing them.
Exactly.
Campuses.
Yeah.
okay, that's excellent news. I hadn't been aware that you were doing that, but we had, or we've gotten Aaron's attention, and it's being pursued. Excellent.
One of the things that when we put this new process in place was exactly what you're talking about, Miko, is trying to make sure that we share resources and that we're, because every year that institutions report, we have a repository of everything that's going on in the institutions and how well it's going with each of the different strategies. And so we've gone through 2 cycles now, and we've got some staff up now, and we've got Devon and Jessica on, and Devon has taken this opportunity to go through, and I mean, he's reviewed every report that has been submitted, and we're in the process now of pulling out the best practices and things that he saw that really had the most impact that we can share with all the campuses. And then once that's done, actually, and he's starting to do this as well, do a deeper dive into some of the real nitty-gritty details of what they're doing to implement it, to really find those things that are really making the difference, that are making them successful, because those are the things, we can get into it at a pretty high level, and even with some level of detail, but like where the rubber meets the road is really where where the value is and whether or not how something is able to be successful. It's that additional touch that you give to a student that maybe doesn't always show up in the report. So even amongst the things that we're finding out in the reports, which are pretty detailed, as we're going to even take the step further and look even in more detail to find out what's going on, so the campuses can tell their stories and share those amongst each other.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I'm excited about it.
Good.
And actually what I had talked with Aaron about was getting the different campus leaders together so that they can share, because
Right.
face-to-face and verbalization is, it just helps pull out the, or coalesce the better parts together. As Travis was saying, we can do so much, but face-to-face and individual discussions do help. But we haven't been able to do that, obviously.
Thank you for your time. Just had to get that out.
Good. That's excellent. And those types of comments is why I would like to see you back. But if you
No, you need new ones, younger ones.
I can go with, well, I won't talk about being young. Anything else? Actually, the second sheet that I put up is just a very simple sheet, and it's a summary score sheet for the exceptional university. What'd you get for fidelity, effectiveness, lessons learned? Just a summary score sheet that when we start reporting in, it'd be easy to give. That's all. So, and any further thoughts or comments about the score sheet, or Miko's comments, my comments? We've got plenty of time, and not to waste time, but at the same, if there's some comments that you feel appropriate, we'll be glad to entertain them.
Don, I just have a quick question on list of, is there a list of who's on the board and when our term is up, or am I don't know if I'll throw it on the board.
We're going to tell you, Dave, we were going to keep you around, and Miko.
Tell me when I need to go, and I'll go. But I'll stay as long as you need me.
Let me just say this too before Don, you continue to serve until reappointed. So I mean, even if your term has expired, we can tend to keep it just like we do our CP terms. And if you want to continue to serve, and after the ending of your term, you can, until you get replaced or reappointed. So just wanted to say that.
Actually, I think Heather is the keeper of the lists. So, or is that right, Don?
I have a list. Heather, I'm sure, has a list, but we'll make sure that particularly those of you who weren't part of this last appointment, to make sure that you know exactly the term limit. So we'll make sure that you get that taken care of, because I don't have it on top of my head, but well, yeah, we'll do that.
You can just push that out to the members, the list out to the members.
Absolutely.
I had a question about the reports. One of the things that I found difficult when I was reading through the reports is that they were, the writings were all out of order. And so I would have the rubric in a certain order. And then when I looked at the report, I had to kind of like scroll, and some of the reports were 50 pages long. So I would have to scroll through the document trying to find that specific strategy, or so is there a way where
actually I can
match so that it's
Deborah, I believe that was a software issue that they submit. It got with the software, and I don't know what the program was. Isn't that correct, Dawn?
So this year we had implemented a new reporting tool for the institutions. And so we always talk about opportunity, success, and impact. And I think one of the default things in planning of the tool, it alphabetized it. So I think it was impact, opportunity, success. So it didn't read the way that the expectation was for when the report was submitted. And so that was something that we caught in the midst of that. So we have address that so that now it does read opportunity, success, and impact. But what I am thinking, I'm hearing, and I'm going to offer Devin on this. He is the project lead for the institutional reporting process. And so all of these suggestions in terms of making sure that the process is both something that works for the institutions as they report and something for the reviewers as they read, those suggestions to be able to give to him to culminate, to be able to make sure that it works for all parties involved. So any other suggestions like that that you have, please feel free to either send them to him or send them to me. I can send them to him so that we can make sure that you have the tools that you need so that it's not as cumbersome and laborious as it can
Coming
be.
back full circle, back onto the scoring sheets. Thank you for the support on that, Miko. But on the scoring sheets, can we go ahead and just get a template made? Somebody there at CPE that knows lines and drawings, that sort of thing, so that we can just get a template made that the schools can drop in just the strategy, and then the school can put in the number within the boxes, the 3 boxes: fidelity, effectiveness, lessons learned, so that they can just drop that into their word processor and fill it out. Then when they go to the next one, they drop it in again, and just a drop-in system like that, or a template. Can we go ahead and have somebody at CPE build that up?
In terms of what's given to you all as reviewers?
Okay, what's on my mind on is that the template goes out to the schools. They fill it out with each strategy, and then they send it back with the boxes that we then fill in. And all you have to do at the CPE is take they've built the scoring sheets for us through the template. And then you just incorporate that with the new report.
So we'll make sure that you all have the information. One of the things that we try to do is to be a support for the institutions, and that we probably do that in-house. So I may not suggest we send it out to the institutions, but we will have the strategies in the template in the manner that is most conducive for the reviewers. So that will probably be something that we do in-house. I can just hear people say that's something else, to report, because they have the reporting tool and then the strategies. And so if we can make that easier for them, then we probably would do it in-house, but we'll give it to you in the manner that you like it.
Alfonso?
Don, I was wondering if to save you and your team time and energy on this, would it be possible that once that you guys collect and gather all the data and information that the institutions send to you, would it be possible to put them, well, no, I'm thinking we are gonna still use the same system that we used past year, right? Where we're gonna have everything concentrated in one specific place, right? Because I was thinking if we could put all those documents on a Google Drive that you guys could share with us, and we could access all that every time to save you time, emails, energy. But if all that information is going to be in the system that you guys introduce us all to past year, right? Am I, yeah?
Yes, that was the tool. We got really positive feedback from the institutions about the tool. So I'm hesitant about making, too many changes. What I want to do is collect the advice and the suggestions that you all have, couple it with what has been working with the institutions, and then come up with something that is conducive for everyone. So we were planning on using the tool. We asked the institutional reps, and they talked about the fact that it was much more user-friendly than the tool we had before, the year before. So that's what we were looking for doing. So all of this will take place. We're not going to roll out the tool. We're tweaking it this fall. And so we will probably have some drafts and some information before our next CEO meeting in January, to be able to make sure that we get input and feedback from the institutional reps and take the same things that you are taking, telling us under advisement to be able to mesh the two.
Don, do you have any feel for a timeline?
For the tool?
Okay, for submission, for grading, and for final.
Devin has a timeline. Devin?
Yes. So we would like all of the submissions for all the institutions to be in by March 1st.
Okay.
And then we would start the process from there. The changes for the reporting tool from the feedback that we received, we'd like to have that ready for you all before the next CEO meeting on January 25th.
Okay. All right. Anything else to come before this group?
If I may, there was a question about the approval with WKCTC. They had one strategy and they were wanting to make sure that it was seen. If you look at their template, they have opportunity, success, and impact as the different categories for which they could submit strategy revisions. And it says no revisions at the top under the strategies for opportunity. It also says no revisions at the bottom under impact. But in the middle for success, there is a strategy. And they wanted to be clear that that was a strategy, that was one that was approved, because I think that what was voted on with the agenda was the no revisions, and they wanted to make sure that that was not missed.
Actually, though, I'm looking at it right here, and under success, current strategy, it's totally blank.
Yeah, Bob, I'm looking at that, and for some reason, the document must have been left off for some reason. I can send that to you right now.
Okay, well, if you say right now,
members
during this meeting, or will we have to reconsider it?
Would, if I may, is it okay if I share my screen to show what the revision was?
If we can get the information out, yes. Because I didn't see anything, so obviously that's why I said no review.
Yeah. Dawn, are you the host of this meeting?
What was that?
I need permission to share from the host of the meeting.
I have made you a co-host.
Thank you.
Okay. Strategy 6, maximize enrollment of the TRIO Student Support Services Program. That was the current strategy. The proposed strategy is enhance and support services to serve academically vulnerable students, including URM and low income. And the justification for the revision, WKCTC was not approved for the 2020-2025 TRIO Support Services Grant. The program closed in August. To continue to provide exceptional service support for our vulnerable student population, which includes the former TRIO students, underrepresented minority students with a cumulative GPA of 2.5 or lower, and students on academic probation. 1, these students are assigned to the advisors of the advising center. The advisors will meet with these advisees regularly to help overcome barriers, review resources, and connect the students to faculty and resources across the campus. That's what they wrote. So the TRIO grant was given to support these students, but that grant has expired and it was not renewed, but they are continuing on with the strategy from using in-house resources. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Any comments from any members of the committee? Basically, it's just saying they're going to do the same thing, but with a different financial support system.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So,
Thank you, Miko.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good.
Okay,
Agreed.
I'm hearing agreement. So, and I don't hear any other comments. So all in favor of approving the West Kentucky Community Technical College proposal that was blank is now in place, please say aye.
I
Opposed? Thank you. It's approved. Any other news or information to come before this committee? If not, there's always one motion in order. Anybody want to make a motion to
I
adjourn?
wanted to say a few announcements before we close.
I'm sorry, I thought you had, I called for announcements, didn't hear it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was making sure that things were taken care of. So first of all, thank you, Miko. We have really enjoyed working with you. And
Thank
as
you.
Barbara stated, your input has been invaluable and you will certainly be missed.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you all about our Higher Equity Symposium that is coming up in a couple of weeks, November 9th and 10th. Part of our higher equity campaign, we know that higher equity is the intersection where higher education and equity converge and provides a forum for discussion on current trends and topics and issues in diversity, equity, and inclusion as they relate to higher education. And so this year, our theme is the urgency of now. Now is an acronym for No Opportunity Wasted. And we will be talking, we have our a day and a half symposium that we're really excited about. We will hopefully have the registration link up by in the morning and invite you all to participate and come and join us as your schedules see fit. So we wanted to make sure you all were aware of that, and we will send you personal invitations to links to make sure that you have all of that information. The second thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that, those of you that have been participating with us for a while, normally when we're able to meet in person, we have highlights from particular campuses. We have been to Elizabethtown, we've been to Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, we've been to JCTC, we've been to Western, we've been to numerous campuses. And so we were wondering if you all wanted to have some highlights, particularly around the strategies that some of these institutions are doing, and perhaps invite some of those institutional reps to the meetings just to talk and give a 30-minute presentation or so virtually about what's going on at their campuses. And if there's one or two particularly that you all are interested in, you can email us, or we can send out an email to you all to respond to directly and just say, hey, I'm really interested in what's going on this particular campus, and we can make that work. We didn't make it work for this particular meeting. We hadn't asked you in advance, and we hadn't given opportunities for the campus reps to prepare anything. So we didn't ask them at this time. But if there's somebody that you would like to hear from particularly, as we've done in the past, we could do a virtual campus visit and invite some of those individuals to be able to share as well. So just let us know. I want to put that out there, Bob, and you all can let us know.
I think that's a great idea. We've always enjoyed one of this, but also just hearing it. Sometimes it's not put a face to a university, but also a face to of the report also. So I think that I'm in favor for it.
I think the same. I think it's a great idea, Don. And with the virtual option available, I think thinking a little bit of terms of equity, what an incredible opportunity to allow colleges that they would be in both extremes of the state to show up for this. I'm thinking about either Western Kentucky or Ashland, or it would be an incredible opportunity to hear from them.
Well, we'll make sure that we reach out to them. I've heard you say Western Kentucky or Ashland, and we'll make sure we reach out, because we have not heard from Ashland, I know, in the last couple of years since I've been working with this. So, and if you have any other suggestions, just send them our way, and we'll see where we can go over the next couple of meetings. And
The
so share that.
the only thing I am going to suggest is, you said a 30-minute session. I might trim that down to 15 or 20 minutes, because they always run over.
Well, we can make that work, absolutely. And so those are the two things I just wanted to add before we adjourn.
Very good. Anything else in the way
Yeah,
of announcement?
I think it'd be nice, if we had a large university and a small campus. I think it's beneficial for both to see on that. So I don't know how much we have, but if we had, a large school and a smaller school would be, and that's it.
Actually, I do have good point, but I have a question for Alfonso. And that is, I'm looking at your background. Are you a member of the Flat Earth Society?
The what?
The Flat Earth Society. You've got a flat map of the, instead of a globe, you've got a flat map of the Earth.
No. Oh. No. I'm teaching Spanish. Yeah, I'm gonna give my 2 cents for this. If I have to propose, I would really love to hear something from Hopkinsville and something from Somerset, especially Hopkinsville, because just because, or Mary. I mean, taking what David was suggesting, Mary is one of the biggest states. It's always over there back in the West. They know, I know that they are doing always every year round great things in terms of equity and cultural diversity, so it would be cool to hear what they have, to offer, or what they can show us. But no, I'm not a member of Flat Earth, so.
Okay.
Making sure.
No, I just a little tease there, but
I'm sure that nobody around the world can actually believe, you got it, Deborah. Good job over there.
Okay. Anything else? If not, a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I had one comment. So
Go ahead, love.
About colleges that we like to hear from, I think because EKU was the first to have to do the program improvement plan, I think it'd be good to hear from them to see what the process was, and then revising their plan and creating that improvement plan and revising their strategies.
That's a great idea.
Hone in on to support Nico's recommendation for the best practices to support this process moving forward, since they were the first to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great idea.
And I'm sure Don made a note of that one. We have a motion on the floor, and I heard a second. And all in favor, hit their leave button and have a
Bye-bye.